Hi and welcome back. I'm Francisca, or Fran to my friends. In this video I'm going to talk a little bit about my journey as to how I ended up on the road for 20 years, which wasn't really the plan at first. And yeah, how that transpired, what it was like for me at first and things like that. So I've been reflecting a little bit on that, and I actually made this video a couple of weeks ago and I accidentally deleted it, so finally ready to start again, and I've got all my lighting set up and things like that, so I thought I might as well start it right away. So yeah, nearly 20 years ago I'd come out of a relationship. I'd lived in the Marlborough Sounds and built a house there, and we'd had a business together. I didn't want to live in the Marlborough Sounds by myself. You know, it's quite an isolated area and there wasn't a lot of work for me or anything in that area either. So I thought, well, okay, and I knew a couple of people who had mobile homes or buses, and thought, I could do that for a little while and have a look around and see where I might want to live next. So I sold the house and bought a little bus, a little Isuzu Journey first, a 7-metre little Japanese bus, which was fairly easy to drive, and I called it my trainer wheels. I had that for 3 or 4 years, I think, and yeah, it was nice for hooning around in, but living in it wasn't brilliant. It didn't have an indoor shower or bathroom. My toilet was under one of my seat lids. I had a portaloo under there, and so obviously couldn't use that if anybody else was in the bus. It was narrow and it was very damp in winter, you know, all that condensation and stuff, and I was having a bit of a health crisis. I developed, when I first got that bus, I got a really bad flu, and it didn't get better. It just didn't get better. I kept waiting for it to get better and it just didn't, and 8 months later I went to a doctor who diagnosed me with chronic fatigue syndrome, or ME. I felt dreadful. Like grocery shopping would do me in for the rest of the day and I would have to sleep and things like that. I just had no energy, felt like my glands were swollen. I just felt awful all the time. And so I stayed put. I went for the odd little trip, but I didn't travel a great deal, and I don't think living in that damp little environment in winter at Ruby Bay Domain, which loses the sun at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, was ideal either. But I started rebuilding my health slowly. It took quite a bit of time for my health to get better. I mean, years, really, and I did all sorts of things. I spent so much money on different alternative therapies and things like that. It was ridiculous, and I couldn't work. I was too sick to work, and decided to do fairs. So that was an option for something to do. I could work weekends. So I bought a truck after living in the little bus for a while. I just wanted a few comforts of home, like a toilet and decent heating and an indoor shower and things like that. I was sick of chasing showers around, finding somewhere to have a shower. I was just over all of that, and so I came across this truck. I contemplated building one, but that was quite a big project. So I came across this one and decided, yep, that's pretty much got all the bits and pieces. I bargained the guy down a bit because the motor wasn't very healthy and needed work. So I did that and moved into that, and still fluffed around in the Nelson Motueka area for a while. I had family connections there and things like that. So yeah, I slowly found my feet in that, and slowly my health improved. I worked out of the Motueka Healing Centre for a little while and did various things, then started selling crystals and gemstones at the markets and things like that to slowly start to get going again, you know, from my health situation. And then I was in Christchurch for something and joined in with some people I knew who invited me to travel and trade with Whirling Brothers Circus. They had a group of mobile home people, house trucks and things, and we travelled with Whirling Brothers Circus. I only did that for 3 months because the environment wasn't quite what I wanted. I wasn't doing very well there, and It was pretty harsh. You know, the way the guy yelled at his workers and stuff like that, it just wasn't quite my scene. So anyway, things happen, things fall into place. So I got a call from a friend of mine, Travis, and he said, I'm with the Tinkers and Traders, you should come up and join. It's a really cool fair, you could sell your wares there and things like that, and do that. So I did that. I said, yep, I'll do that. And my friend Michelle, I've been travelling with as well, she wanted to go up to visit somebody or something, so we both headed from Wellington all the way up to Kaitaia area. And I first of all was a bit hesitant about the whole group thing. I wasn't sort of overly keen on groups, so I went and had a quiet little look around at this Tinkers and Traders fair. But as soon as I met the organiser, Graham, I thought, well, yes, I can work with this guy. He was so neat, so friendly, so caring, so open. So I joined them and started travelling with that group and really explored Northland and things like that. It was fantastic. Really enjoyed it. Did that for quite a few years until that fair ended. The organiser, I think he was suffering from burnout personally. He just ditched it in the middle of the season and said, you know, I've had enough, I've cancelled everything, I'm going. So we were totally stunned, and, you know, it was our livelihood and our income. So we developed another group called the Gypsy Travellers Fair, which there was a few of us on the committee running that, the people who formed it. We all had different jobs. Mine was advertising and promotional stuff and things like that. I promoted the fair on the internet and organised posters and flyers and radio and newspaper advertising and things like that. So that was my part of that thing. There were other people who had other roles to play in it, and did that for a few years, and it was great. I learned a lot. I learned a huge amount, but it was also very exhausting because I had my fair stall and business to run. I was doing readings as well as having a stall by then, so trying to do both of those, do my jobs for that fair, and also was starting to develop my online business slowly. So I was incredibly busy. So my health was definitely looking better because I was managing to do all of this. And I knew I had to develop my online business because you do get wet weekends. And when you're only doing fairs and you have a few wet weekends, you're going to be eating rice for a few weeks, you know. So yeah, I was doing all of these things. There were a few political things going on in the group too I wasn't too keen on, and I was sort of thinking about leaving, and I got a message from somebody at the original Gypsy Fair saying, we're looking for another reader, would you like to come? And I thought, well, that's perfect timing. I've got to take this, you know, thank you universe, you've just brought me another opportunity. So I did that. I let the travellers know that I was leaving. I needed to put more focus into my own thing and developing that and growing that, because, you know, some of the travellers, they were older people, they had pensions and things to fall back on. I didn't. I had to support myself. So I decided to do that. I had to drop the crystals and the jewellery. I couldn't do both. So I just did readings and joined that group and travelled with them for several years and worked there. As I did that, I kept building my online work and my website and things like that, and, you know, developed more and more connections with people and things like that. Every gypsy fair I went to, I had pamphlets outside people could take and things like that. So that got busier and busier, and the Gypsy Fair travels quite fast, so between that and trying to keep up with my online work during the week and travel and do everything and be very busy every weekend, I was always incredibly busy at those fairs, my health started going backwards again, and that scared me. It really scared me. If you've ever been in a position where your health fails you and you can't function properly, and then you start experiencing that again, you get a sense of panic. It's like, oh no, not this again. I know this. I don't want to go down that track. So I had to drop out a couple of times because I just got sick, like really sick. I got pneumonia one year down south, and just, yeah, my health wasn't coping. So it was like, okay, be brave, leave the fears and rely on this. I still see people in person in different towns, but not great queues of them every day. It's done at a much nicer pace with my online readings. I have a booking system and structure that allows me to take care of myself and have a lunch break and make sure that I'm feeding myself and looking after myself, and I get out walking to get away from the computer and things like that. But essentially, yeah, that's my story. That's how I ended up on the road. It was really a very, very interesting thing that, you know, at the time when I first got really sick and I was new on the road and didn't know what to do, I was so stressed out. Yeah, it didn't look like a very good path at that time. But now that I look back, I can see that it's led me exactly where I need to be. And I've been travelling for a long time. Sometimes I have the urge to pull off for a while, and I do that. I am still contemplating finding a small patch of land somewhere I can lease or pay a little bit for. I don't want to pay a whole lot because I don't actually need their services or anything, just a patch of dirt. Somewhere where I can have some space and some privacy when things go crazy busy out there, because it is actually quite hard to focus on your work when your neighbours' children are running around screaming and yelling and the ball's hitting your truck, and you know, it's quite hard to actually get your work done when all that's going on in the middle of summer and everybody's out there having a holiday and a good time and you've got to get your work done. So next summer, most certainly, I'm certainly going to look for somewhere quieter, more peaceful, with a little bit of space to get through that, you know, December, January kind of time. After that, things calm down again. So, yeah, so that's my story, how I ended up on the road. It wasn't the, yahoo, I'm going to run away with the gypsies. It was more of, what now? What am I going to do now? Where do I want to be, and things like that. And I wasn't 100% sure, so I just thought, oh well, I'll have a look around. And I have a few areas in New Zealand I absolutely adore and love, and if I had to live somewhere, I'd probably choose one of them. But yeah, no, I can't say that there's one area above all others that I really want to be in. But I'll see where life leads me next. At the moment, I'm still full-time on the road, travelling, working, doing what I do with my pussycat, who's awesome company. And honestly, after this many years on the road, you actually know a lot of people on the road. One of my favourite sayings is when people say, oh, it was so nice to meet you, we'll see each other again. I always go, the road's actually a small place. Here in New Zealand it is. Once you know people who are on the road also, you're going to run into them again. It just happens that way. You might not have noticed beforehand, but once you know who they are, you will see them again. So yeah, the road is a small place. People get to know each other, build connections, build friendships. It's different to living in one place and having friends in your community, but they're still out there. And it's a lot of fun hearing other people's travel stories and things like that. So anyway, if you've got any comments on any of that, please put them in the comments below. Please like and subscribe if you'd like to see more videos of mine. I'm off to the beach, I think, later on, or tomorrow probably at this stage. I'm busy making videos today. And lots of love to you, safe travels, and see you next time.